I don't know about you, but I do not have the easiest time with self-promotion. I don't love social media, like, following the tricks and trades and how to make it all work. I don't love trying to pitch myself because it often feels performative and I just don't love it. But I also know it's important that if I want to get the word out about what I do and how I can actually help people, it's important. So if you've ever felt that tension between wanting to stay true to yourself, but also knowing that you need to be more visible, I think this conversation is for you. Welcome to Badass Softy, a podcast for leaders who are unapologetically ambitious and want to lead with heart because you're allowed to chase big goals without losing what makes you human. I'm your host, Dr. JJ Peterson. On today's episode, I talk with my friend, Heather Adams. Heather is the founder and president of Choice Media, where she helps entrepreneurs and brands get clear on their message and show up in media in a way that actually serves people. She's worked with some incredible clients and has helped get over 150 books on the New York Times bestseller list. But what I love most about her is that she doesn't just teach people how to chase attention. She teaches them how to show up with purpose. And in this conversation, we talk about what it looks like to put yourself out there when it doesn't come naturally and how to take small and honest steps instead of trying to become somebody you're not. So without any further ado, here is my conversation with Heather Adams. Heather, I am so excited you're here. This is going to be so fun. The reason I wanted to have you on Badass Softy is because you and I have worked together in multiple capacities, like kind of as friends, like kind of working beside each other, working on projects together, helping authors. You have helped me with some of my own stuff. I have helped you with some of your stuff. You've helped 150 books hit the New York Times. So, I mean, this is not somebody who, you're not somebody who just sits back. You work your butt off and you work hard, but you do it in a way that honors people and honors your team. And so you truly are the embodiment of a badass softy. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on the podcast. So I'm so excited you're here.
I received that. And we can just end right here because thank you. That is so generous and kind and right back at you. I think about when we first got introduced in 2017.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago when you came in and transformed my business and helped me work through the story brand framework in my own business. You have spoken and emceed our Choice Summit.
One of the greatest honors, by the way, because I'm always the only man there.
The only man. And that is intentional.
Yes, I'm like the 100%. Only man invited. And so it makes me very proud.
But you and I are also really good, close friends. You were at my 50th birthday. Yeah. And I just have to say really quickly, because this will be a testament to the goodness of JJ Peterson, which is at the part of my birthday when we were going to blow out the candles on my birthday cake. My husband had this thing where everyone at the party took a candle and made a wish for me and put it in the cake. And then said, something really beautiful as they made the wish. It was one of the most encouraging, kind, generous things people have ever done for me in my life. And then my husband at the end Matt said this really nice thing about me and our marriage and all of this. And he was like, and now JJ. And he was like, I was not going to be the last. I was going to let JJ end. I was definitely not going after JJ. And I was like, what is he talking about? JJ gets up and he has written a poem for my 50th birthday that was customized to Heather Adams. And there was not a dry eye in the house. It was both celebratory, fun, a little bit sassy, but also so tender and genuine. And so Matt was like, this is exactly why JJ went last and why I did not go after.
Well, it was such an honor and it was so easy to write because it just really, being a part of that, watching everybody honor you was so special too, just to hear everything that they said. Kind. So we have a lot of fun. That's just basically bottom line. We have a lot of fun. And yet also we get shit done.
100%. And both of those can be true.
Both of those can be true. I don't know that I've ever cussed on this podcast before, but I'm doing it now.
Well, there's a cuss word in the name of your podcast, so I feel like you're okay.
It fits. So I introduced you a little bit in the beginning about how you really work in PR and communications, helping people get their message out there. And, one of the things I wanted to talk about today on the podcast is, and I have some questions about how you got into it and all that, but really the bottom line is, very honestly, I need some therapy in this area because
don't we all?
Because I know that I have the ability, through my experience, through my connections, through my education, to help people. I know, when I show up in a room, I'm going to help people with their messaging. I know I'm going to help authors create products out of their books. And I know when I show up in the room and things happen, that I have the ability to help people.
There's impact and transformation, 100%. I'm a living testament.
Yeah, and it's taken me a long time to even be able to say that out loud, but to be able to do that. But then the idea of putting myself on social media and putting myself out there and trying to get on more podcasts and trying to get
the promotional aspect of it.
Is so hard and feels sometimes, very honestly, gross to me.
And performative. It feels very performative.
And I hate that piece of it. And yet I also know that it's necessary and it has to be done in the right way. And so that's kind of a little bit what I want to talk about today, because you help people do that. You help people put themselves out there. You make the connections for them, but you do more than that. You help them clarify what they're going to say, all of those things. So I want to get to that, but backing up a little bit, what drew you to publicity? Back in the day,
here we go.
Going way back, because you've been doing this for 25 years. So obviously, you know what you're doing. You've been in this industry for a long time. But what drew you to publicity in the beginning?
Well, when I was in high school, I was the editor of the yearbook. And that we could probably start a support group for the people who watch and listen to your show, who were yearbook editors or on yearbook staff at some point. But our advisor, who was an English teacher, said to me, "You have a gift for storytelling." She said, at some point down the road, when people look back at their yearbooks, and I just had my 30th reunion last year, and we were getting out the yearbooks. You look back and you recount, and it's what was detailed in that yearbook that helps you remember, right? And it's all storytelling about the football games and the proms and all the things that went on in your life while you were in high school. And it was the first time someone told me that I was good at something that I loved. So I loved writing, and I loved both oral and written communication. And she was kind of underscoring that or confirming that for me. So fast forward to college, I went to the University of Georgia, and I was in the journalism school thinking I was kind of going to go that route, right? And I did an internship for the Georgia Secretary of State in his press office. And I worked for the press secretary and the deputy press secretary. And I saw, imagine, if you will, like Olivia Pope on Scandal. This is in the 90s, so it was well before Olivia Pope was a thought, right? But I was watching the press secretary and the deputy press secretary be the conduit between their client, the Secretary of State, and the media. And I saw how relationally driven it was, and how they impacted talking points for the Secretary of State. They impacted messaging as far as what his priorities were for the state of Georgia. They had so much influence into his role as the Secretary of State. But then when you took that and you married it with their responsibility to communicate that to the general public. And back in the 90s, this was through traditional media outlets, newspaper, radio, TV. We didn't have social media and all of that stuff at that time. But I was fascinated, JJ, with that role, because it was combining these things that I was good at and loved: oral and written communication, strategy, and relationship like driving things so much through the relationships that you had with the people who were involved. And so it was like, okay, like this feels like a path I'm interested in. So that's ultimately how it all began.
I love that. I mean, I love that for multiple reasons. One, somebody speaking into you and seeing something in you from the outside and calling it out of you, which is really cool because I feel like you do that a lot for people as well.
Thank you.
And then kind of discovering it and going, oh, wait, this is where all of my loves come together.
A career.
And this is a thing.
Right.
So you graduate from school and then you move on and, you know, now you own your own agency. But before that, you worked for publishers.
Yes, I was in-house and ran the publicity department for the world's largest Christian publishing house. And it is one of the big 5 publishing houses in New York. So it's a division of HarperCollins. And now, at the time, it was independently owned. And it was really there that I cut my teeth on working with major national marquee media. The New York Times, the Today Show, Good Morning America, People, ESPN, like all of those places, because my job was to take whatever books we're releasing in any given season and get media coverage for them so that the general public knew they were coming out and purchased the book.
From there, you ended up leaving and then you started your own agency. And now you do that kind of the brand building for, specifically, you work with a lot of women. You do work with men, but you work with help women kind of elevate their brand, build their business, not just from a publicity, but from marketing and communication.
That's right. That's right. We have really 3 different steps that we take our clients through. The build phase, they are building a platform, right? And some of them, they may be 10 years into their business and they've built it because they're scrappy and driven and ambitious and they saw a felt need and they were passionate about it, but they never really put strategy or an intention or a business plan, you know, to it. And so it's the building of that platform. Who is their audience? What is their messaging? How are they going after them? What are they selling to them? How are they making money and generating revenue? So there's that build component. Then there's the launch. They're opening a retail store. They're launching a book. They're launching a new course, they're launching a podcast, whatever it might be, but they're launching something in their business. And then the third is the amplify. They have built to a certain level, but there's a whole group of people that have never heard of them. So how do we get them introduced to that new constituency, that new client or consumer base that would be a game changer for their business? So build, launch, amplify is like the 3 kind of stages that we walk them through. And our ideal client is a female founder or business leader who has a personality-driven business as opposed to like a product-driven business. Yeah. She is the face of her company. She hosts the podcast. She writes the books. She leads the business. But it's not exclusively that. To your point, we do serve men from time to time. About 10% of our client base is men, 90% is women. And there are some businesses, like we have a distillery that we serve. Well, that's a product-driven business, but the owners are the face of the business. Yeah. And so it just depends on the client, but that is the kind of the majority of it.
And I've been able, like I said, to kind of see behind the scenes of a lot of those clients. And so many of them are such incredible people. I mean, that's been a really fun thing about getting to know you is you're also such a connector. Like, it's just that relationship aspect is like, if I'm in a room and there's 30 other people, by the end of that, normally I might meet 2 or 3 of those people and sit off the side and get into a deep conversation. And you're like introducing me to everybody. You're always introducing people to and making connections and speaking so kindly. And so I've got to meet so many of these people. And getting back to now the therapy part.
Yes, back to you, JJ.
Back to me. This is really all about me. That's why I do this show, is so I can have some free advice and free therapy. So, I mean, first off, love that trajectory, but I could imagine along the way that you have worked with and met people who maybe are like me, who are a little bit hesitant about putting themselves out there
100%.
And doing quote unquote PR or publicity or
anything that feels promotional or performative part. Even social media for people is very, very challenging.
Yeah. So what do you say? Like, well, let me ask this. What do you feel like people get wrong about doing publicity? Mm-hmm. What do you feel like they get wrong in that mindset? What's wrong about their thinking in that?
Well, I'll go back to when I was working exclusively in-house at a book publisher. Authors write for a reason, right? And they're like, I'm good at writing. Going on a radio interview, going on a podcast, going on TV where people have to physically see me is not my cup of tea. I like to write. That's what I'm good at. And so I'm so grateful that I worked in that industry for so long, because it set me up for so much success when social media came out, because I had to work with authors to convince them, like, you have a story within you. You have something that is worthy of sharing. And you showing up authentically as you is going to be connective tissue with your end consumer, your reader, whoever it is you're trying to care for at the end of the day. And so I take that same counsel now. I have a client right now. She is in the mental health and wellness space. She is a therapist to men and women who have experienced significant weight loss. They've had bypass bariatric surgery. They're on a GLP-1, whatever. And she's like, Heather, I'm a therapist with people. My job, I am not good at getting on TikTok and dancing around or getting on Instagram on a video. Like, that's not, I'm good one-on-one with people. And so just like with you, what I want is for people beyond who have the privilege of access to you on a day-to-day basis like I do. I have a personal relationship with you. I want people to be able to absorb JJ goodness. I want the same thing for my client, right? She can only get to so many clients, but what social media and other platforms allow us is access to a bigger community of people where we can have transformation and impact because they got a little bit of that JJ goodness. And I don't want you to do things that are inauthentic to you. I think the biggest mistake people make is when they feel like they have to show up a certain way to compete with what else is out there, as opposed to showing up holistically as themselves. So for years, people kept telling me, you need to niche down and only talk about book publicity. You've launched 150 New York Times bestsellers. You have a huge track record of success. You've worked with the biggest authors in the world. You need to only talk about that. And I was like, I also am raising teenage boys. I'm a baseball mom. I mentor college sorority women. I love fashion and beauty. I love hospitality and entertaining people in my home. Because I show all those aspects of me, people want to do business with me because they see more of Heather. And so I think people are so afraid. I don't dance on TikTok, JJ. That is not authentically Heather Adams. Yeah. But I'll go on TikTok and do a trend with my sorority women that makes sense because that's a component of Heather, right? Or I'll go on and talk about the fact that I'm on a GLP-1 because it is connective for so many women in midlife that are in my target audience, right? And so I think at the end of the day, when we show up holistically as ourselves, it ends up benefiting us in the long term. I have a client right now who has done a lot of business with us. She followed me for 3 years on social media before she did one engagement. But over that 3 years, she learned about me, our team, my family. She learned a lot about me. And that's what I want for other people that are nervous about doing that. It does not have to be perfect for it to have impact and for you to be able to connect relationally with someone.
Yeah. And I think also, so you said like showing up authentically is a huge benefit for your clients.
That's right.
I think it's also a huge benefit for the people that they serve, right? Like when they show up, if they show up dancing, but that's not really how they help people,
that's right.
then that may get a little bit of attention, but it's not going to actually draw in the right people who are going to buy those books, hire them to speak, And so when you show up, and what that means then, very honestly, is then they don't get the benefit of this person's wisdom, right? So
that's right. You're preventing them from the service that you offer. You're preventing them from understanding, achieving, interacting with that because you're keeping it from them.
Yeah. And I think such a big part of Badass Softy is really me saying, like, you can show up as yourself and still succeed. Like that's right. You know, because I think a lot of times in my own world, I've looked to these big name people in business, and I've gained a lot of wisdom from them. Mm-hmm. But if I try to build my business like them, I'm going to fail, and I'm going to be miserable.
We worry too much by looking side to side instead of thinking about what is true to us, you know, and so I'm never going to ask you to do something that doesn't feel true to you, but I might push you a little bit. Like if you are not comfortable in front of a camera, let's do a few things that help you baby step into that. You know, like initially we might do some voiceovers with you over carousels or over B-roll or something like that and show you, okay, see, this is your voice. People are hearing you directly. You know, like we kind of baby step you as opposed to it's just guns blazing or nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
either be on the Today Show or we don't work with you. You know, like no.
Well, and that's a great example too. On the media front, we don't start our clients on the Today Show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go put you there with no experience and have you fall on your face, embarrass yourself. The Today Show never invite you back. My reputation be mud with the Today Show. They know I bring them great guests, right? So I want you to have that experience. I want you to hone your messaging. I want you to figure out how to talk in a 4-minute segment versus a 30-minute podcast interview. Mm-hmm. Those are very different ways to connect with the audience and the host. And so doing local media, doing smaller niche podcasts, doing things like that to get you that experience and kind of working through things before you are in front of that major marquee media is really and you're never going to get that marquee media without those small things anyway. Like that's, I think, a lot of, if you're going back to the question about what if even people get wrong about publicity. It's like, if somebody comes in without a platform, without being on smaller shows or being featured in blogs or having a following or anything, and comes to you and says, well, can you get me on the Today Show? It's just not going to happen. That's right.
It's not going to happen no matter how good you are.
And they have to have something distinctive about them. Yep. They have to have something relevant to the end viewer, watcher, listener, you know, reader of whatever that media outlet is that producer or editor is interested in. So that they're ultimately serving. So when you're thinking about media, you're not just thinking about how to impress that producer or editor. You're ultimately thinking about how can I serve the end consumer who is watching, reading, listening. Yeah.
I think that word serve is the word that for me helps me kind of show up when I don't want to. Like when I don't want to be on social media, when I don't want to, even with this podcast, right? Like I love this podcast, but the idea of me posting clips from it is always a little scary to me because it feels, I don't ever want it to come across as performative, but I also know I believe in what my guests are saying. I know it's helpful for me. I know it's helpful for the audience. And it's a way that when I show up, I can serve people by doing it sometimes a little, I guess, afraid and imperfect.
Well, and they're getting a little bit of that JJ magic by getting a taste of it that they don't have access to you in person getting. So how charming and charismatic and connective you are and how smart you are at making an observation and pulling that out and weaving that thread through. You know, like they're getting a little bit of that by you stepping into maybe that uncomfortable space to have clips or whatnot. It also is bringing you business, you know, and at the end of the day, none of us are doing this just because we want to be on these platforms. We're doing it because we want to serve someone and we want it to affect our, you know, our business and bring us additional clients or add additional revenue. I mean, we shouldn't be afraid to say that.
Yes.
But it shouldn't be our only motivator too, because there are people who are content creators for a living, right? And that's how they make their money. But they have pimped out their family. And it almost is just too much. It's like everything is about buying something, everything. So you have to make sure it's measured too. And it's not just every single post is about selling you this workshop or selling you this shirt at J. Crew. You know, it's like there is a measured way of caring for your community and not just what can I get out of them.
And again, it's like, why, this is why you're here, because it really is, that is the badass softie. It's like, I say always, you know, for people who are unapologetically ambitious, but also want to lead with heart, because I think
100%.
There's nothing wrong with saying, I am going on social media. I'm going to get myself out there so I can grow my business and also so I can help people.
That's
like those two things I think are, they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
That's right.
And I think when you sacrifice one for the other, if you just become about revenue, people feel it and they will turn away.
That's right.
And if you just become about like, we're just going to be friends, and if you want to pay me, you can later, then like, you're not going to be able to keep doing what you're doing.
You're not going to.
And you're not going to help enough people.
That's right. And we don't want to just show up so people think we're cute and fun.
Yeah. I mean, you know, sometimes
we want that to be one element. I just recently like redid my own personal brand, and I put myself into 3 categories. I have the CEO. So that is where all of the PR, marketing, brand strategy, like entrepreneurship, female empowerment, all of that goes in that CEO, you know, kind of bucket. I have tastemaker. That's where like the things I'm in love with, like a new moisturizer I'm using, or fashion that I love in the spring, or a podcast I'm listening to, or a show I'm watching, or a book I'm reading, like that tastemaker. And then there's trusted girlfriend. This is where I talk about my midlife body, or recipes I'm making for my family, or parenting an adult child for the first time who's away at college. Like, so when you think of yourself in kind of 3 distinct categories, which I learned from you, people can remember you for 3 things. You don't want 5, you don't want 10. Like, what are the 3 things you want people to remember you for? Well, that badass component really is my CEO stuff. I'm also a really great mom, and I have incredible boys that I'm raising into men. And that's a little bit of a softer side for me. When I talk about my body, that's a little bit softer side. Both of those things can be on my platform and serve someone.
Yes. I love that. And it's been fun to watch you kind of evolve in that as well, and really be really distinctive. And that I think is also super helpful for people to, you don't have to be like, I think you said, you know, show up online and go, well, I'm only going to talk about, let's say you're a financial advisor. I'm only going to talk about money.
Yeah.
But people also do need to know why they're showing up on your page to follow you. So if it's money and family and working out, great. You have 3.
There are your 3 things.
And you can, but people know when I show up here, this is why I'm showing up. I'm getting money advice. I'm relating as a parent, and I might learn a few workout tips along the way.
That's right.
That's why you're showing up. So it doesn't always have to be this narrow focus, but especially if that's not comfortable for you, you know, showing up in that way, you can kind of bring your fullest self to the table, and it's actually a benefit. So for just kind of, as we kind of start to wrap up here, if you were talking to say somebody like me, so I've already had one book, but I co-authored that book.
That's right.
And let's say I know I have some wisdom. I'm getting ready to maybe write a book. I've got a podcast going on. What are some tips that you would give me and challenge me, stretch me a little bit? Because I've already said it's a little hard for me. I don't want to be performative. I don't want to show up, but I have something I do want to offer to the world. What are a couple tips you would offer me of saying, here's how you want to start showing up in the world? And so for anybody listening that is in that same space, they're like, all right, I want to start building an audience. I want to start building a platform. I want to start sharing my wisdom with the world. What would you say to them, to me, of here's some things you want to think about and start moving forward?
Well, I think particularly with books, when someone is writing a book, they wait too late to start talking about the topic. They are afraid, I'm giving away the farm, so nobody's going to buy the book later. And my counsel is, I want people to know you for that topic long before the book is on shelves, right? So 2 years before your book is, at the bookstore, you can be talking about content from that book so that people associate JJ with that topic. Mm-hmm. And then when that book comes out, there's this pent up demand for it because they know you as the expert and authority on that particular topic, right? So that's a huge mistake I think a lot of people make is they're like, oh, well, I'll talk about 16 other things on my platforms, in my emails, on Substack, on social media, like wherever when I'm speaking at a speaking engagement, when I'm doing podcast interviews, they talk about everything else but what they want to sell this book on. And that is a huge mistake. So as you are thinking about building your platform and launching an initiative, and in this case, a book release, you want to be building that into what you are sharing across your platform well in advance of when that content is actually ready, available in a course, in a book, at, whatever the format that you're distributing it might be. So I think that's huge. The other thing I would say is, try a bunch of stuff, try a variety of things. I don't want you to try 85 things halfway. Try 2 or 3 things and try them well. Invest the time and energy and intention into building out the strategy and the content. It might be email and Instagram and Substack, let's say. Okay, I'm going to do these 3 things really well, as opposed to, and I'm going to do TikTok, and I'm going to do YouTube, and I'm going to do try and think of what are 3 areas where I can do really well and try it out, right? Ask your audience, on Instagram, you can poll your audience. In email, you can poll your audience. Ask them, what are you loving? How do you feel about this? There is so much that the audience wants to help you be successful by you including them. They just want to be invited to the table, right? And so when you go to them and you say, hey, I talk about parenting, I talk about business, and I talk about recipes. Which of these 3 do you love the most? You're getting information to help serve you so you know how to spread that out and how to go back to your audience. So it doesn't hurt you to try something. You don't have to have a beautiful podcast studio. You don't have to have fancy equipment. You can take your phone and shoot. And that is where people are relating because it feels more accessible to them.
I know you do work with people in Substack and other things, but if people are interested in hearing more about just the work you're doing and what's going on with Choice Media, how can they find you?
Well, choicemediacommunications.com is our website. That's kind of a one-stop shop. It should also be your home base, like your website you own and control. So you should have a, home base there. Heather Dixon Adams is all my handles. So whether you go to Instagram or, whatever. But what I'm really excited about that we're doing right now, specifically about Substack, is we're doing a workshop on June the 3rd that is virtual. So anybody in the country, normally our workshops are in person. You've been in them with clients with us. And we are doing a virtual Substack workshop to teach you how to build your own Substack and launch it. We've got the experience. We're doing it not only for ourselves, but also for clients and having a lot of success there. And we feel like it is such an arm of opportunity that people are waiting to jump on. And if you're an early adopter, you really are rewarded for that. So that information can be found.
That'll be in the show notes.
Absolutely there. And then the Red Lip Life is my Substack.
Thank you. I love you. I adore you. I hope that everybody goes and follows you and goes to your webinar. So this is going to be amazing. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being a badass softie.
I love it.
Heather really is incredible. And that conversation was so good as just a reminder for me that When I show up in social media and when I put myself out there, it really is for the purpose of serving my customers, serving my clients, and getting more people the help that they need. And I think there was a couple things I took away from today's conversation. The first was actually in the very beginning when Heather talked about her teacher who spoke over her and called out in her something that she didn't even know was there. I want to be the kind of person that does that for people. I want to look at people and say, hey, you're a good writer. You're actually good at what you do. You should lean into that more. And then if I can help them, I'm going to help them actually grow in their business and in their brand and all of those things. But just calling out the goodness in people, I think, is something that I want to lean into a little bit more. And then the second thing that I'm taking away from this conversation really is to try to show up more intentionally as myself in a vulnerable and authentic way. I don't have to be like everybody else. I don't need to follow all the trends. I don't need to, find the little tricks and lean into the algorithm. I know that stuff's important. I actually do. This is not me discounting any of that. I have a lot of friends who really do great jobs of tapping into the algorithm and being able to be discovered more. That is not going to bring me joy, and it's not going to be sustainable. So for me, I need to show up as myself, serving my customers, serving my potential clients, serving the people who are a part of my community in a way that feels real and honest to me. And I need to do it even when it doesn't feel comfortable. I need to show up and I need to serve people. And so if you've kind of been in that space of where you're feeling like, well, I don't want to do this TikTok dance and I don't want to, figure out all the algorithms and how it works and what, audio I need, trending audio I need to be using, don't. If that works for you, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Show up as yourself. Show up as yourself. Lean into your own wisdom, lean into the way that you serve people best, and bring that to the table. Because when you do that, not only do you win, but your potential customers and the people that you're serving, they win as well. So let me leave you with this. May you find the courage to be seen, not for your own spotlight, but so that others can experience the good that you carry. May you take the next small step, even when it feels uncomfortable, trusting that the bravery often starts quietly and grows over time. May you show up as yourself, not a polished version of who you think you should be, but the real version of who you already are. And may you remember that when you share your voice to serve, not perform, you don't just build visibility, you make a difference. Because we believe you can be both kind and ambitious, fun and driven, powerful and deeply human. Your leadership can inspire, your success can have soul, and your ambition can make space for everyone. That's why you're a badass softie. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. BadassSoftie.com is crafted by Fruitful Design and Strategy.